The old Blackwood mine was a dark mouth on the mountain, silent for 25 years. The town of Harmony Creek lay below, always in its shadow, haunted by a terrible secret. The mine collapsed on a gray Tuesday, taking 10 miners with it. Fathers, sons, brothers, etched on the hearts of everyone in Harmony Creek. The rescue was frantic, but hopeless. The mountain gave back only silence. Officials declared the mine a tomb, a wound that never healed. The mine was a brooding giant, a reminder of loss. The truth was buried with the men, locked away under rock and soil, and there, most believed, it would stay forever. But the mountain waited, knowing someone would return to uncover its secrets. The story of Blackwood Mine became a tale of sudden tragedy and lingering sorrow. Harmony Creek was a town frozen in time, its soul taken by the mine collapse. Once full of life, now, a quiet sadness hung in the air. The main street, once bustling, was often empty. The families of the lost miners felt the pain most sharply. Anniversaries were the hardest, marked by silent gatherings at the mine. The shared silence spoke volumes, a language of loss. Rumors grew in the silence like moss on old stones. Some saw strange lights on the mountain, others heard faint tapping sounds. Old Man Hemlock swore he heard voices calling for help. The mine became a place of folklore, feared and respected. The economic impact was severe. The mine was the town's main employer. Jobs disappeared, young people left, and the town started to shrink. Harmony Creek became a town of memories, not dreams. It was a place people were from, not a place they were going to. The shadow of the mountain was long, stretching over every house and person. It was a shadow of what was and what could have been. The town was waiting, though it did not know what it was waiting for. The mine was a constant, physical reminder of the day the world turned upside down. The town was waiting, though it did not know what it was waiting for. 25 years is a long time. A new generation grew up in Harmony Creek. Leo Vance, a young engineer, felt a connection to the mine. His grandfather was one of the 10 men lost. Leo believed modern technology could make excavation possible. He started the Echo Project, aiming to excavate the Blackwood mine. It was about honoring the past and giving families closure. At first, the town was hesitant, afraid to reopen old wounds. But Leo's passion was contagious. He held town meetings and showed his plans. Slowly, minds began to change. The town saw a chance for healing. After months of debate, the town council approved the project. Funding came from government grants and private donations. A team of experts was assembled, bringing new energy to Harmony Creek. For the first time in a quarter of a century, there was hope. The long, silent wait was over as machinery began to crawl up the mountain. The town held its breath once more. The project was not about changing the past, it was about honoring it. It was about giving the families closure. He made a promise to his grandmother. He told her he would find his grandfather. He would not let him be forgotten under tons of rock. The town held its breath once more as heavy machinery began to crawl up the side of the mountain. The first day of excavation was momentous. The town watched as the barrier came down. A powerful drill roared to life, a sound of progress and promise. The slow descent into the past began with careful, cautious work. The team used advanced radar to map the debris field. They drilled a pilot tunnel, reinforcing it with steel and concrete. Every foot gained was a victory. The team worked around the clock. Leo Vance was there every day, feeling the weight of responsibility. Weeks turned into a month. They tunneled over 200 feet. The team was getting closer. The air in the tunnel grew colder. The silence was deeper. They found small things, a broken shovel handle, a piece of a glove. Each item felt sacred, whispers from the past. The work was slow and careful, but hope was growing. At night, the mine glowed like a beacon of hope against the darkness. The tunnel stretched deeper into the mountain. The team worked for months. They navigated through complex geology, feeling the pressure of the town's watchful eyes. The story of the Blackwood mine captured the nation's attention. Inside the mine, the atmosphere changed. The air was heavy with history. They found more signs of the miners, a set of tools, a heavy jacket. It was a ghostly scene. Time stopped on that fateful morning. The team moved with reverence, walking through a moment frozen in time. One day the drill broke through into an open space, a natural cavern. The drone's camera showed signs of habitation, makeshift shelters, empty cans. Someone had survived the collapse, lived in this space. The discovery shocked the team. They were not prepared for a story of survival. The implications were enormous. They worked with renewed urgency. Leo Vance volunteered to go inside, needing to see it with his own eyes. The mystery of the Blackwood mine had deepened. The team had now been working for almost 2 months. They were hundreds of feet past the original collapse point. The geology of the mine was complex. They had to navigate through layers of hard rock and pockets of loose gravel. The work was honestly mentally and physically exhausting. Leo squeezed through the narrow opening into the cavern. The air was cold and still. His headlamp revealed a secret room. In the center was a small, organized camp. The miners had survived. They found their way to this cavern, alive for an unknown time. Everything was neat and tidy: 10 sleeping bags, empty cans, a water system. It was a testament to human ingenuity and the will to live. On a rock table was a lantern, books, and a journal. Leo picked up the journal, recognizing his grandfather's handwriting. The pages told of their time in darkness, a record of courage and hope. The first entry was the day of the collapse, the last, 6 months later. The journal was not a record of despair, but of community and survival. Leo read about their initial hope: rationing food, telling stories. They created a community in the dark, refusing to give up. The journal was a powerful reminder of their courage. It was the story of 10 men who had refused to give up. The journal was written by his grandfather. Leo recognized the handwriting from old letters his grandmother had kept. He sank to his knees, his light illuminating the careful script. He read about their initial hope. They were sure they would be rescued. He read about how they rationed their food. He read about how they told stories to keep their spirits up. They sang songs. They talked about their families. They had created a community in the dark. Leo sat on the cavern floor, reading his grandfather's journal. The miners survived the collapse, trapped but resourceful. They established a routine with leaders for different tasks. The journal revealed a breakthrough, a narrow passage with fresh air. It was a slim chance, but it was all they had. The final entry was full of hope: "We are going home." Leo understood. The mine was not their tomb but their shelter. The journal did not say if they succeeded, only that they tried. The mystery was not what happened to the men, but if they made it out. The story was not over. A new chapter had begun. The miners had survived the collapse. They had lived for months inside the mountain. They had tried to escape. The townspeople gathered in the square, their faces filled with disbelief. It was too much to comprehend. The story they had told themselves for 25 years was wrong. The men were not victims who had died instantly. They were heroes who had fought to live. The town's reaction was a storm of emotions. There was shock, of course. When Leo emerged from the mine holding the journal, the news spread like wildfire. The miners had survived, lived for months, and tried to escape. The townspeople gathered, faces filled with disbelief. The story they believed for 25 years was wrong. The men were heroes who fought to live. The town's reaction was a storm of emotions: shock, guilt, pride. The journal was read aloud in the town hall, bringing the miners back to life. The reading was a powerful emotional experience, a funeral and celebration. The discovery of the secret passage set off a new search. Geologists and cavers explored the mountain's cave systems. The entire town and the country watched with bated breath. The Blackwood mine was no longer a place of tragedy. It was a monument to the unbreakable human spirit. It was a symbol of hope. The town was waiting, though it did not know what it was waiting for. The search for the miners' escape route continued for months. The passage ended on a remote ledge with signs of human presence. Experts concluded the miners likely made it out, but their fate remained a mystery. The town accepted this new uncertainty, filled with hope. Families imagined their loved ones stepping into sunlight one last time. The memorial was changed to celebrate their survival and courage. The discovery lifted the shadow of the mountain, redefining Harmony Creek. The Echo Project brought new life. People returned, businesses opened. The mine became a historical site, a place of learning and hope. The greatest lesson was about the human heart, never giving up hope. The truth, no matter how long buried, can come to light. The real story is often more complex and beautiful than imagined. The 10 miners left a legacy, a reminder of the human spirit's light. The town had found its closure, not in an ending but in a new beginning. The greatest lesson from the deep was not about geology or engineering. It was about the human heart. It taught the people of Harmony Creek that you should never give up hope. It taught them that the truth, no matter how long it is buried, can eventually come to light. And it taught them that the real story is often more complex and more beautiful than you can ever imagine. The 10 miners of Blackwood Mine left behind a legacy,